the Gauntlet. Let's go.
If you smell what the gauntlet is cooking.
All right, now I'm unmuted. It is I, the captain is back, and welcome to this episode of The Gauntlet. It is Season 2, Episode 25. I'm your host, Denzel Snipes, and we have a loaded show for you today. We're going to be touching on, of course, our Player of the Week that got voted. Thanks to you all who did show up and vote on my Twitter for this week's Player of the Week. Hey, we got started officially with the NFL season. We will be covering that game. And also a few more things in the news as well as our non-sports topic. But first, let's bring on, we're without JJ tonight. Shout out to him. He will be back next week. Shout out to JT Shiesty. Here's our other co-host, and he is from the mean streets of Livonia, Michigan. Come on in here, Dom DeRubis. Let's go.
Yo, what's up?
What's going on, man? How you doing?
What's the temperature in Houston? In Livonia, it's hotter than two rats being amorous in a wool sock.
Whoa, we reached a high of 93 today, but it was
humidity.
Cloudy, so.
Listen to us old men talking about it, complaining about it being too hot. And what's the humidity? What's the dew point? It was hot today. I don't know about you, but
yeah.
Dear summer, I'm all set. Sincerely, Dom.
I was set in June, but now it's time to bring on our guest for the first time here on the Gauntlet. He is the Motor City Madmouth, and he works for the South Florida Tribune. Give it up for Mr. Scott Morgenrath. Come on in.
Well, I don't work for the South Florida Tribune, Denzel. I own it.
There's your difference. There's the X factor right there.
That's it, man. And Mr. Dom is going to be on Fire Up Michigan on Monday night.
8 p.m.
That's me, Dom. This is the guy you got to deal with.
Be there or be a rhombus.
Huh?
I said be there or be a rhombus.
That's it, man. I told you I'd get in here, Denzel. You got to remember, I'm not the most technologically sound individual at 60. If it weren't for my wife who got a big assist, I might be a little bit.
Hey, big shout out to Jay for stepping in and producing while James Tatum has been away, because I mean, me trying to figure out how to operate StreamYard other than come on and run my mouth is like the chimps looking at the monolith in 2001: A Space Odyssey.
That was a great feature, though. You know, I mean, to be real. But how you doing tonight, Mr. Scott?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. With the way things are storming in Boca Raton, Florida, and that's a game I decided not to cover because I was in Miami covering the Miami Hurricanes in Southern Mississippi. I feel like a first-class genius, and I got the Miami Marlins and the Mets tomorrow, and I missed a game right now where the Mets are leading the Marlins 10-1. I have more moves tonight than Barry Sanders did by dodging all the bad things, man.
Man, if only you had over 1,000 scrimmage yards for 10 straight seasons.
Yeah, I can only imagine this body.
Or 14 straight 100-yard games.
That many. What's that?
Or 14 straight 100-yard games. A game that I can't even talk.
Well, let me tell you what, guys. I did cover them back in the 80s, so I saw a lot of those yards. So. Detroit Monitor. I got to know Barry real well, and he got to know me real well. Then again, anybody gets in front of me gets to know me real well.
That's awesome. I've never had the opportunity to meet him or talk to him, but I'm sure he's just an absolute joy to speak
he's unbelievable.
With.
Yeah, Dom, he really is. You talk about the most level-headed superstar on the planet. This guy definitely is.
I did get his dad really drunk once at a bar by the airport, trying to get him to say that his son was better than Jim Brown, but $80 and about 13 shivases later, he still wouldn't say it.
Yeah, and meanwhile, did you have your phone there to record the inevitable? Because it wasn't inevitable.
This was before smartphones.
Exactly, that's my point. If I give you every story, of every picture I should have had if I had a smartphone, then I'd probably be.
Or even just a 35 millimeter camera in your pocket to be smart, but we didn't do that back then. We live in the moment.
Yeah, but the problem was
I miss it, but I I really love how much, not even the photos, but so much concert footage I have on my phone. And even
Yeah,
if
but
the
hold
video
on.
quality is not good, audio quality. But
I
let's
go
get into a
bankrupt.
topic.
I go bankrupt thinking of all the film I didn't get developed.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Well,
Wow.
everyone, if you are a first time watcher, be sure and catch us on Facebook Live, Twitter, and YouTube. Send us a like, greatly appreciate it. Also, we do take donations.
We
Cash
we
App
are
is Gauntlet Sports
we
Media.
are poor. Please send us some money if you like what you see. We are very,
Yeah,
very
I
poor.
mean, 10 cents, a pork chop, just send us something, we just want to eat for the day, every day, so, but let's kick off with our first topic, everyone's favorite, and that is sports morons of the week. And that is where we take the most egregious takes from, and this is an NFL show, but if there's one that's so egregious from another sport, sometimes we'll touch upon it as well. The first ever anniversary show, we actually had Ben Simmons as like the sports moron of the season, so, but yeah, shout out to Tyler Ingram. He's out there doing this thing, and
Being a
I
dad.
know he's got something to say. Yeah, he's being a girl dad right now, but I know he's got something to say. Right before we kick it off to Dom, and he tells us his sports moron
Are
of the
you
week.
guys kidding me? Are you guys kidding me?
Oh, okay. Here's one I can actually name by name. Ryan Clark, not trying to call you out personally, just wanted to have a name of a respected member of the media, but he's one on a long list of offenders. I'm sure we all saw that game on Thursday, the Bills and the defending champ, LA Rams. It was not close. The Rams did not look like a defending champ, but for everyone out there, Ryan Clark included, trying to say that the Rams are done, their run is over, they might miss the playoffs, there's no way they're getting back to the playoffs, there's no way they're getting to the Super Bowl, and trying to anoint the Bills as the next Super Bowl champions because they just beat the defending Super Bowl champions. You're wrong. You're a moron. It's an overreaction. It's one game, 1 week. We all do it. Granted, if the Rams don't figure out something with that O-line, they're in some serious trouble. But chill out, Ryan Clark, and everyone that shares that opinion. The Rams will be in the playoffs. So that's all I got.
Yeah, just to piggyback off of what Dom said, it's your stereotypical knee-jerk reaction after a Super Bowl champion gets blown out at home. Crazy part about it is, and I mean, we'll touch on it a little bit, but they always do this. They did it all the time with the Patriots. I don't know if you guys remember, I think it was the 2014 season, and the Patriots got blown out in Kansas City 41-14, so much so that Tom Brady, the GOAT himself, was benched. Well, they went on to win a Super Bowl that year, but there was this knee-jerk reaction like, oh, man, is he done? He's finally old. Father Time has caught up to him. And, well, that was 2014. Well, seemingly 8 years later, he's got a couple of more rings since then, including on another team. But like I said, it's your typical reaction from the media. I would say don't buy into it, especially after week one. I don't know if he was paid to say it. I don't know if he was told to say it or anything like that. All I know is yes, Dom is absolutely correct. It was very egregious to say that. And also, that's just taken away from how good the Bills are. But we will touch on that coming up in a little bit. So let's bring the crew back on here. Once again, we have Dom DeRubis, and we've got the Motor City Madmouth, Scott Morgan Roth. Also, if you would just send us that like on Facebook Live, Twitter, and YouTube, it will be greatly appreciated. And now let's go on to our player of the week, cornerback Darrell Green. This guy, and Deion Sanders is my favorite defender of all time next to Lawrence Taylor. I believe Darrell Green is the fastest. Now, who is Darrell Green? Darrell Green was drafted 28th overall in the 1983 NFL draft. He came from Texas A&M Kingsville. He played with the Washington Redskins his whole career from 1983 to 2002. He's a two-time Super Bowl champion. He won NFL Man of the Year in 1996. He's a four-time first-team All-Pro. He's a 7-time Pro Bowler. He made PFWA All-Rookie Team, NFL 1990s All-Decade Team, NFL 100 Anniversary All-Time Team, 80 Greatest Redskins, Washington Commanders Ring of Fame, In career stats, he had 1,159 tackles, 54 interceptions, with 6 touchdowns. He's in the Pro Football Hall of Fame as well as the College Football Hall of Fame. This guy, let me tell you something before I swing it over to Dom. You remember that pick by Buda Baker and DK Metcalf ran him down? Yeah, Darrell Green kind of did that on a regular, just run people down. He was that fast. And I mean, for a guy, and I know that the game evolves. The athletes are getting bigger, faster, and stronger. Darrell Green's speed, the man was ahead of his time. He easily was ahead of his time. And shout out to everybody who did vote on my Twitter. Cornerback Darrell Green, Player of the Week, Dom DeRubis, your thoughts?
I'm going to actually pass this off to Scott and go last because him being a bit more of the elder generation, I think he's probably got more good takes than I do about Darrell Green because I forgot that he played for that long. Rookie year was 1983. Tell us what you know about Darrell Green, please, Mr. Scott.
You're asking me about a guy who played for what, the Redskins?
Mm-hmm.
No, I got better things to do than think about the Washington Redskins / Commanders, okay? I really do. Not to dampen your parade, my goodness. I mean, the Redskins, they're the most dysfunctional organization on the planet. You're talking about Darrell Green. Once upon a time, Dan Snyder, used to charge for workouts at training camp. And you're asking me to go ahead and comment on this. I know he's a heck of a player. I get that. But we're talking about the Washington Redskins. We're talking about the Commanders, the Washington football team. Am I starting to sound like Chris Berman, though, for a moment? Okay.
Just a little.
All right. Well, the Washington Redskins.
That was a bit better.
Well, okay. Well, I'm working on it. I mean, listen, I just came off a hurricane. No, not a regular hurricane, the Miami Hurricanes today. So, but no, honestly, I know that Green was a heck of a player. We all know that, when things were good in Washington, he was everything good about it. But is there many good things that have happened under the Daniel Snyder regime? Even Joe Gibbs went there for a little mild cup of coffee, did a little bit well with it. And now he's dealing with all these allegations. Sorry, Redskins fans or Commanders. I don't expect to get Christmas cards from you, and nor do I really want to take them because I'd put them in the paper shredder anyways.
I would like to see, since we'll brief segue to Dan Snyder, and then I'll wrap up about Darrell Green. Because I'll ask one of you guys because you probably know. Was Snyder already the owner when they hired Steve Spurrier?
Yeah,
I
did
believe so. Yes, I believe so.
We could have a whole show and just talk about Dan Snyder as the sports moron of the millennium. Dan Snyder's he's terrible.
Run on Albert Hainsworth, for God's sakes, really?
Yeah,
that was one of the worst signings. I forgot all about when Hainsworth signed. They gave that man $100 million, and how long did you forget
that? That's maybe the worst and or most expensive free agent signing that just was a complete dud, of all time. He was one of the first ones.
A lot of bums and overpaid him because they didn't want to go there. Come on,
and this was back before I needed prescription glasses. I looked and I was like, they gave him how much? Right. For how many years?
You're talking to a fan of a team that paid Brock Osweiler $72 million, and I still have Hainsworth signing above that as bad.
Well, come on, Denzel. There aren't many that are going to be worse than Albert Hainsworth. Although I'll tell you, the Redskins / Commanders did bring in a bunch of bums that were over the hill, anyways. But Albert Hainsworth was the kingpin of them all.
Remember that one year when everyone thought Josh Norman was the greatest cornerback since sliced bread?
There's another one, but I didn't want to be too critical about him because I thought Hainsworth, to me, was a 100 million layer cake is what it was.
Anyways, obviously we're all fans of our teams, but we're also we're all just big football fans, period. And we always love to talk legends because some of us always know.
Writer. Let me tell you something, Dime. You got to work with me. I'm a true broadcast media guy. I don't like fans, okay? They get on my nerves. I like to sit up in the press box, okay, with my computer, with monitors, okay, so I can talk and build my YouTube subscribers with my colleagues and bring on guests. Well,
we're out here.
You got me here, so let me finish, okay?
Okay.
See, you're dealing with a guy now, okay? I don't like fans. They get on my nerves. They think they know everything. Okay, when you've talked to an executive, okay, I realize they got to pay the bills for all these things, but the reality of the situation is until they figure out that there's a lot more to it than just fire this bum, sign this bum. Okay, there's a lot more things involved, and I'm not trying to go off on anything, but when you see all these great moves that you think are going to turn into Super Bowl championships, no, they're not going to do it.
It's true. Well, I'm
very
still
good.
going to call myself a fan. I'm just a highly intelligent fan with a lot of strong opinions.
More power to you. You know what? Some people know more than others, okay? And, I can't question that. Fans got to have – fans have a little bit more knowledge, but the only difference between fans now versus when they were when I started in the business 42 years is these fans can walk on social media, start their own podcast, and be part of the media, and they have a bigger voice if they know how to handle all this technical business right. Where back then a fan was a fan, go ahead and go through the turnstile, shut the hell up, buy 1 million hot dogs. If you're lucky, a couple of beers, and maybe you might see the game.
That's why I don't go to home games anymore. Am I a bad fan? Anyways, the last thing I wanted to say about Darrell Green, I want to say it was his second or third to last year in the league. So he was 40 plus, and he still got clocked with the fastest 40 time in the entire league. 40 years old, maybe 41. The fastest man in the league. I don't know that Darrell Green was human.
Yeah, I don't think anyone did.
Well, you talk about the Redskins and the Commanders, and I hate to put a damper on this, but if there's ever a guy that I hated to see what happened, Sean Taylor to me, he walks into that category of what would have been. Boy, you talk about the most unfortunate situation on the planet. Yeah, Darrell Green's accolades are great. But Sean Taylor, I think they had a bye week and he was killed in his house. I mean, from what I understand, it was totally unfortunate.
And from the U.
It was. And you know what? It's ironically you bring that up, Scott. He was our player of the week last week, and we had this one guy on. Shout out to Chris Couch, Coach Powell. He specifically stated Sean Taylor is the biggest what if in history.
Yeah, to do Sean Taylor without me.
You were at a concert, sir.
Wu-Tang and Nas was a good consolation prize. I've been waiting for that concert all effing summer. And it was the only one all summer on a Saturday, but let's move on.
So I had a crystal ball. That's why I brought up Sean Taylor. I have extrasensory perception, okay? That's why I brought him up.
He's got a spot.
And you're really crazy, and I'm crazy, but I'm having a blast with you on a Saturday night.
Man, that's awesome. That's Mr. Scott Morgan, Motor City Mad Mouth, ladies and gentlemen. Let's move on to our next topic. And as I stated, football is back. So on Thursday night, we saw the Bills match up against the Super Bowl champions, Rams in L.A. The first half was tied, and then it turned into a massacre. Bills won 31-10. Quarterback Josh Allen puts on a clinic, 26 of 31 for 297, 4 total touchdowns, 3 passing, one rushing. He had 56 rushing yards. He did have 2 interceptions, but they were both tip balls. And just like Dom, you mentioned the knee jerk with Ryan Clark. This knee jerk was actually kind of justified. They're like, hey, it's Allen's year. He may just take the Super Bowl, not Super Bowl, or they may make the Super Bowl and win it, but he may win a regular season most valuable player. But your thoughts on the game, Mr. Dom?
It was competitive for a little bit. I'm not honestly the knee jerk thing is I'm more so bothered by it as far as the Rams go, because the Bills, I have them as a serious Super Bowl contender. Josh Allen was my pick in the preseason for MVP, and the thing is, he's so talented. He can put up numbers like that against anyone, including the Rams, who probably have a top 10 defense. He's that good, and I've been saying this for a year, and I'm going to keep saying it until people finally admit it, maybe after he gets an MVP and a ring. I've got Patrick Mahomes right here. I've got Josh Allen about right here. And after he wins an MVP and a Super Bowl, I'm going to have Josh Allen up here. You want to know why? Because the ceiling up here is higher. He's got just as good of an arm. He's bigger. He is a better athlete. And I like Patrick Mahomes a lot. You know, speaking of quarterbacks, you know who've got way down here because he hasn't done an effing thing?
Don't say that, Prescott. Oh, come on now.
win a playoff game, and then I'll bring you up. Did you say who?
I'm
exactly.
Sorry, I didn't catch that. Who did you say?
Justin Herbert.
Okay.
You were right to say who. Who is in? Oh, that guy that's never been to the playoffs.
Okay,
and he plays
that's
for the
another
Chargers.
one of my ESP moves. Okay, just kind of playing off the. I'm playing off your energy here.
Mm-hmm. Well, hey Scott, your thoughts about the game? Your take?
Well, number one, I've always been a Matthew Stafford type of person. Number two, the Buffalo Bills remind me of the Bad Boys. And you know why they remind me of the Bad Boys? And I covered them too, by the way. And for whatever it's worth, I have a piece of their floor in my dining room that the PR gave me as a gift for covering the team.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I do have that. And I'll go ahead. And Denzel, I'll go out there and shoot you a picture just so you know I'm not shooting you to the knee.
I gotta see that. I gotta see that.
If this was an FCC show, I wouldn't want to be fined because I paid a lot of money for my trademark Motor City Mad Mouth, not Mild Mouth, by the way. I don't want to have to redo it over again. But the reason why I mentioned the Bad Boys is because the Buffalo Bills got knocked down by the Kansas City Chiefs, just like the Pistons used to get knocked down by the Celtics. And then all of a sudden you come out the next year and then you get really angry. And when you get really angry, okay, and you know that close away, and then you add a couple pieces here, like Von Miller, ever heard of him? He kind of like won a championship last year. Okay?
He's pretty good, I think.
Yeah, I think he's pretty good. I mean, he's won a Super Bowl for the Broncos and now the Rams, and now he's looking for the hat trick, as they call it in hockey. You know anything about hockey? You know, they have those things called hat tricks, you know?
And then throw hats on ice.
Yeah, that too. Okay, so, but the reality of the situation is I think the Buffalo Bills were just a much better team. And we all know that Matthew Stafford had a procedure during the offseason on his elbow. I don't know what it was. And the reality is Sean McVay didn't play a lot of his players as well. So I have no problem not playing a lot of your players. But the ultimate thing is I think they're going to sign Odell Beckham. They need more wideouts. You can never have enough good wide receivers. I don't think Allen Robinson's in sync. If you keep using Cooper Kupp the way you're going to do it, then all of a sudden you become too predictable. And let's face it, the Buffalo Bills are good. Okay, Josh Allen will be the best quarterback that they've had since Jim Kelly. And by the way, many years ago, I wrote a story on him when he was
Hopefully he ends up with a better Super Bowl record.
Well, I'm sure he will. I think he will.
Me and Jay's friend Brad will go insane. He'll tear out his hair. Well, he doesn't have much hair left. If he had hair, he'd tear it out if they go to 4 more Super Bowls and don't get one.
Don't get one, yeah.
Yeah, well, no, but I think Josh Allen's a real deal. And remember, he could have been selected number 1, but 5 or 6 teams passed out of him. University of Wyoming. Okay, you ever heard of them?
Yeah, Wyoming Cowboys.
For a cold weather team, wasn't he?
What's that?
Built for a cold weather team, wasn't he?
Oh, he sure was, wasn't he? But, you know, University of Wyoming, not considered quarterback all right, anything but.
Neither was whatever Dakota State, wherever that Carson Wentz went. He went number 1 ahead of Jared Goff.
Yep.
I don't know. I don't think he went number 1, did he? I think
he sure did.
Was he one?
No.
One.
No,
I thought he was number 2.
Wentz went 2. My bad.
Which one 2?
That's
God,
why.
when are you going to stop arguing with a guy like me, dude?
I forgot. I don't know why.
Why?
I don't know what I was thinking.
Hey, Tom,
Probably because I just don't want to admit that my quarterback is a number 1 overall pick.
Teach you better. You know what? I'm going to whip you up there with all those tattoos and that hat backwards, and I'm going to give you a little bit of 42-year-old WXYZ radio tough love here. I guarantee
42. That was
my first job in the business. Okay, was WXYZ radio back in 1979. Ever heard of a guy named Ron Cameron?
Yes.
Yeah, I work with that schmuck. And yes, I don't mind Ron if you're hearing schmuck.
Cameron, if you're watching, Scott thinks you're a schmuck.
Oh, I don't care. Don't worry. I've called him worse to his face. It doesn't matter. But no, I put up with this guy here, and I still told him off. And you know what, Ron? I got news for you. You're only as good as what I make you look like behind the scenes, pal. And I've gone on to have a pretty good career. Oh, yeah, I never pulled any punches with this guy. Just because you're wearing a damn microphone doesn't mean you're any better. I could go out there and make it hard for you to get any callers, and you look like a you-know-what. And if you look like a you-know-what, then the upper management is going to do a you-know-what. Okay?
We all – every one of us, like I have very little love for anyone in Detroit sports media. Jay doesn't. I'm pretty sure Jay doesn't like very many of the Houston beat writers. James doesn't like any of the Philly beat writers. You know, we all.
Well, let me tell you,
we're like the alternative media.
Let me tell you a great story many years ago. And Denzel, you know what? The more you bring me on here, I'll have more stories than politicians tell lies. Okay.
Gotcha.
And I will. Give me time. I swear to God, I'll bring a new one here every time. But many years ago, I was producing a sports talk show over at the State Fair Coliseum. I believe it was right off of Woodward, right? And that where it was. I think they tore it down now. But I was working with Dick Night Train Lane, the Hall of Famer. He was my guest, and I was screening calls there. And you talk about a great opportunity to meet Night Train. Oh, my goodness. Here I am, just some 17-year-old kid just producing on site. What? How life bad can life be?
Couldn't break that record, could you, Trayvon Diggs?
Yeah, there you go. But the reality of the situation is when you put things in perspective, okay, about players, legendary players and broadcasters, they all make their mark in their own way. You know what I mean? The good, the bad, and the ugly. And that's just what you have in this day and age. And nowadays, with the emergence of social media, you know, it gets ugly at certain times too, you know, because their bad things are overshadowed by their good things. And it's just unfortunate what it's become. But
I've been known to troll a sports figure or two on Twitter. I feel like that's what it's for. Richard Sherman came out and said some real ignorant stuff about Matt Stafford after he won the Super Bowl. I called him out. He won't respond.
Well, why would he? I don't think Richard Sherman should be responding to anything. If you look at his rap sheet, I don't think it's that great. And I'm not an admirer, okay, of Ray Lewis either, because once upon a time during that Super Bowl situation out in Atlanta, okay, he did some naughty things.
Yeah,
and
there was
on the other people just to get off and use his star power to get him off the hook. So, you know, a lot of these guys think that Jesus Christ superstar, who the hell do you think you are? I can give you a lot of adjectives who I think you really shouldn't be. But then again, you know, I probably get all kinds of hate mail. And, you know, I got to tell you, since I'm having some fun with some of my buddies tonight, once upon a time, before social media emerged, and maybe it did, okay, I once called the Montreal Canadian fans a bunch of Montreal morons. And since you have a feature on here called Montreal Morons, when they were booing the national anthem.
Oh, like Maroons minus an O?
Huh?
Like Maroons, but minus an O?
No, I call them morons. Forget the Maroons. You're being nice, okay? I got more hate than you can imagine. The editors had to pull the stupid thing down. I responded to all of them, and then they took it down, and I wrote another one and hammered them, but loosen it up, because you know what? You start booing somebody's national anthem, I got an issue.
Yeah, I would agree.
Don't boo a national anthem, we get along. And only to find out that all that hate mail, okay, came from a Montreal Canadiens fan site is what it was. It wasn't from the true Montreal people. And I have a good friend of mine that lives in Montreal anyways. But that's beside the point. She's a nice lady. So yeah, I love it when you have the moron show, because if you would have had me for the Montreal Morons and they booed the national anthem, this darn show would have gone viral, my man. Viral. VIRAL 48.9 million exclamation points.
A whole group of fans inside an arena. That would have been pretty impressive.
Yeah, but we do have to keep it moving, fellas. Actually, we're about the halfway point of the show, so we're going to hit a word for our sponsor, so we'll see you all in about 30 seconds.
Sports fans are gearing up and saving big at Fanatics.com, the world's largest collection of officially licensed fan gear. From all the leagues, teams, and players you love. Unique one-of-a-kind designs exclusively by Fanatics. And autographed collectibles from today's biggest stars shipped directly to your home. Join Fanatics Rewards for free to earn fan cash on every purchase. Shop now and for a limited time, get 20% off all orders. Fanatics.com, officially licensed everything.
That is Fanatics.com. We are sponsored by them and Yeti. And we are back on the Gauntlet. And I am your co-host, Denzel Snipes, along with Dom DeRubis and our guest, the Motor City Mad Mouse, Scott Morgan-Roth. Now, on to our next topic. And Dom, I'm really curious to hear your take on this one. So, pay attention. So, on Thursday night, cornerback Jalen Ramsey allowed a perfect passer rating. That's a 158.3 when thrown his way versus the Bills. To be precise, he was thrown at 7 times. He allowed 6 receptions for 124 yards and 2 touchdowns. So was this one bad game, or is it time to start calling him overrated? Keep in mind, before you answer, that last year in the Super Bowl, on the final Bengals play, Jamar Chase had him burnt for the game-winning touchdown, but Burrow's line couldn't hold up. So I ask you.
Ramsey was on the ground.
Yes, he was. So I ask you, and it's funny you mentioned that because I said that the Rams actually won that game in spite of Ramsey. But I ask you, was this just one bad game, or is it time to start calling him overrated?
I am not entirely sure, and for some reason, I briefly forgot about what happened in the Super Bowl. Like, because obviously I saw the game, saw him get torched. I can say, he had one really bad game, and his last game prior to that, the Super Bowl, was not a good game either. But I'm not ready to call him washed yet. But on the flip side of the coin, I will say, especially with corners, a lot of the times when it goes fast. Ask Darrell Revis. Ask Nnamdi Asomugha, though I don't think he was ever particularly that good. He was good for 1 year, and then people were so afraid of him they just wouldn't throw the ball at his side. He's got too big of a body of work. Like you can't call him overrated. He's still super talented, and he's had, a bad game and potentially almost had a Super Bowl, it cost you a Super Bowl blunder. Is he overrated? No, the dude's been too good for too long, but let it play out this season. And then even at that point, I don't know how old he is. He's probably late 20s. Probably so. He's still a young guy now. He's not for the rest of this season and half of next season. If he has a bad season this year, I'll call him overrated and possibly washed. If he's bad next year, then he's washed. But
I worked with him, by the way, in Jacksonville. I cover the Jacksonville Jaguars too, by the way. Mm-hmm. And I've spoken to Ramsey before.
He was almost a Lion, but we refused to take Blake Bortles. We had a trade set up, Ramsey for Stafford, but they wanted us to take Bortles, and we're like, we're not taking Bortles.
Well, I did not know that.
Imagine if you had Ramsey and Darius Slay.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that would have been a pretty good duo.
Well, that's got to take.
Well, so I'll give you my take on this. I don't think he's overrated. I really don't. Okay. I think he's a heck of a player. He's young. Sometimes in the big stage, you're going to tell me that Pedro Martinez was overrated many years ago because he had. I once talked to Grady Little. It's on the big stage. You're playing some big games. I mean, you have the best versus the best. How do you call best versus best? Somebody's overrated. That's a little hard to do.
Like
you do over a body of work.
Stephon Diggs is pretty good.
Yeah. Now
Gabe Davis is on the rise.
Right.
That dude's for real.
Body of work versus body of work over a couple of games on the big stage now.
Yeah.
Don't really know it.
Yeah, I would agree with you all. I mean, he does have a tremendous body of work. I still believe he's a top 5 corner. But just so, and everyone knows, and it may be just one bad game, but it's not that he just got torched or anything. He allowed a perfect passer rating. Like, you can't let that happen too many times, because then more of them will say, okay, well, you know what? Is he not so much overrated, but is he as good as everyone is claiming him to be? He's still a very good corner. He's still an elite corner, But
28.
But Denzel, you're missing the whole point, man. He allowed a perfect passer rating to Josh Allen.
That's true.
If you're going to sit here and tell me that he allowed a perfect passer rating to Jared Goff, you have a different conversation, pal.
That is true.
So if you want to start going 158, what was the number?
158.3.
Okay, well, you know what? And I guess, Tom, you live in Michigan. I live in Florida. It's a good 4-digit number to play in the lottery. If we win, we won't let nobody know about it. But
583.
But the reality of the situation, if he allowed it to Jared Goff or if he allows it to Jacoby Brissett, we got a problem. If he allows it to Josh Allen, then
there's no shame in that.
Yeah. All right. Come on. Really?
Yeah.
Buffalo's O-line's pretty good too.
Yeah, they are. And by the way, for whatever it's worth, okay, Devin Singletary's a heck of a back, and he played my backyard at Florida Atlantic University. So,
he did come from FAU. Yes, he did.
Devin Singletary.
Yeah, I mean,
I like Devin Singletary.
Got a little sleeper over there. They're much better than most people think. You watch. I don't know who's playing fantasy football. I believe in reality football, like stick a tape recorder in a coach's grill and ask him questions instead of all this.
I really hope that Devin Singletary gets 215 carries this year. I really do.
He's going to be a heck of a player. And I'll tell you what, if the Buffalo Bills get to the Super Bowl, they're going to need to ride the Devin train. Okay. And
we said that last year during the playoffs. You can't rely all on Josh Allen.
Mm-hmm. Josh Allen is not the only
Kansas City was so Mahomes dependent.
Right.
That early season skid they had.
Right.
Yeah, so but moving on to the next topic, and we're just gonna preview 2 games here. So tomorrow the Chiefs will be playing the Cardinals. This game right here, what a test. Kyler Murray, he got his money over the summer. A lot of people were criticizing him from the way he acted. He unfollowed the team on social media and made such a hoopla about a new contract, and he finally backed him to the corner and got paid. Well, what a first test. He's got the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, he is at home, he's got the Kansas City Chiefs, but I think it's going to be a great matchup between 2 young quarterbacks. I honestly expect a slugfest, regardless of how people feel about Kyler Murray. But the only thing about it is this, because last year we saw the Cardinals start off hot and then they cooled off, and then they made the postseason, of course, as a wild card, So are we going to see this again? Are we going to see the Cards start off 6-0 and then cool off, 7-0, 8-0, and then cool off? And shout out to Eric Wilson of the Sports Arena. He brought up one time on the Gauntlet on a previous episode months ago that Kyler Murray has the most pressure out of any quarterback in the league because the Super Bowl is in Glendale this year. And he wants to be the one to do what the other 2 quarterbacks did in LA and Tampa and win Super Bowls. So
he'll be there in the stands.
Yes, we will be out there.
And Denzel, let me ask you a sarcastic question, okay? Did Kyler Murray do his 4 hours worth of homework, or did he make the Cardinals look really stupid getting rid of that clause?
When I saw that, I was like, you know what? They're really making the man out to be Jamarcus Russell. Remember the blank CD? So I laughed at that.
I liked all of them.
Well, I got you choked up, Denzel. I can tell we're having a blast, man. I did a show the very next day on Inside the Pigskin.
Thank you, Oakland Raiders, for drafting Jamarcus Russell so we could draft Megatron.
Well, I know how to get.
Thank you, Al Davis, wherever you are. Not sure.
And also thank Jamarcus Russell for ruining it for anybody who's a rookie coming out, because no more long-term deals after that. They signed him to $63 million out the gate, and the man couldn't even read a playbook to save his life. But as far as this game goes, I'm going to actually say if the Cardinals can keep the Chiefs to under 30 points, they'll win the game. But I got the Chiefs 35-21. Dom, what do you think?
A lot of I'm rolling with a lot of what you said. Great matchup between 2 young quarterbacks, and it depends to me a lot on which Chiefs defense shows up. If it's early season Chiefs defense and they can't really stop anybody, I mean, I think it's going to be a shootout no matter what. There's just too much talent on both sides, on both offenses there. A little iffy on the Chiefs wide receivers, but this is also where Patrick Mahomes gets to prove or disprove to me if he's really that guy, because you don't have Tyreek Hill anymore. Right. Yeah, you've got Travis Kelce, and he's great, but I've seen a borderline elite tight end get covered like melted cheese all last season in Detroit because we had no other wide receivers that could get open. So they'll just double Hawkinson, and then he's covered like smothered cheese, like I said. I've got similar score, shootout, like you said, Chiefs 34, Cardinals 28.
Nice. Scott, what do you think, man?
You know what, Dom? I know I'm going to enjoy working with you on Monday night. Because I thought the same, and Denzel, I'm having a ball with you right now. I'm throwing you more curveballs than you anticipated because of chats. But
I love it, man.
Now you get the real deal here on the air, bro, on a Saturday night. That's a beautiful thing. But I like where Dom was going. Okay, any quarterback can have a great wide receiver and look good, like Green Bay with Devontae Adams. And the Packers are faced with similar challenges too, because what they have to do now is Aaron Rodgers has to identify the 3 veterans with a minimal amount of experience. And if they keep Sammy Watkins healthy, that's good. But then Aaron Rodgers has to go ahead and be able to make the best of the new receivers. With that said, bringing it back to Kansas City a little bit, this is when you find out what kind of Patrick Mahomes you really do have. If you can make people better around you, then obviously to me, his legend vaults into a different stratosphere. So I'm going to go 33-16. I think the Chiefs are going to blow out the Cardinals. I really do.
Oh, okay. Nice. I'm actually not mad at that pick.
Well, I don't know. Somebody's got to go out on a limb here. I think it's going to be 33-16. And I'll tell you why I think it's that far away. If DeAndre Hopkins was playing in this game, maybe I'll give you another touchdown, but he's not. I believe he's out for the first 6 games, right? So I don't exactly know what type of wide receivers that you have with the Cardinals that would warrant me to give them another 7 points. I don't know about the guy from the Ravens that they brought in. Will he be able to go ahead and make a difference? And the thing is they're playing each other during the first game of the year. So you don't know how in sync that Murray is with the other guy because you've only had a limited sample size. Okay, you have 3 preseason games. You have a bunch of practices where are hitting each other, right? So there's so many of the unknowns. And I have to deal with that, believe it or not, in Miami. And I'm not trying to get you off subject a little bit, but I think it's pertinent to the conversation that if you want to put somebody in the moron category, I'll give it a 3-headed monster with Bill Belichick, Matt Patricia, and Joe Judge, because we don't know who they remind me of Abbott Costello. Who's the offensive coordinator? Who's one offense? And all of a sudden you've got a quarterback who's kind of like confused a little bit. Where am I getting the direction? And Darrell will tell you right now, she was on my show on Thursday, that when we talked about this very subject, and I was appeared on a Patriot show earlier in the week, and on my show, this is really what you find out that you have around you. And when you don't have a lot, and I don't care about the last preseason game, whether it's 3 or 4, it doesn't make any difference. You still have to have enough first team reps with your guys to at least make it look legitimate. And the margin of error for the NFL to lose games early isn't good. You can't do it. If you lose 1 or 2, 3, 4 games a year, for the most part, you're cooked. That's why I think the Cardinals are going to get cooked. Forget about the 4-hour homework clause. I'm just joking around on a Saturday night.
That clause would not have been in his contract if they didn't think it was a real issue. I said that from the beginning.
For all of our older listeners, if there are any out there, I remember the Howard Cosell show many years ago where you had the Bay City Roller Saturday night. We're talking about the NFL on Saturday night, right? Yeah. Around college, when we're about the Wolverines are about to kill Hawaii. Okay, later on. But my point is you've got to have all your guys in sync as much as possible. And I think the Cardinals sample size is little, and Mahomes is on a mission. So you have a little sample size because you don't have a full deck. On the other hand, you have a guy on a mission. And by the way, you ever heard of Andy Reid? He's pretty good. You ever heard of Cliff Kingsbury? He could be on the hot seat. You know what I mean? So there's so many different variables. So I'm talking with my hands. I'm talking everything. I'm calling everybody on the morons, and we're even talking Saturday night with Bay City Rollers and Howard Cosell, who I would have put in the moron category because I hate his guts too.
Yeah,
Howard Cosell. Who hates Howard Cosell?
Me, because you know what? Many years ago on Monday Night Football, I tried to get an interview with him. He was such a snobby guy. I would have told him to take his toupee off, but O.J. Simpson bailed me out and gave me an interview instead. He was 100 times better and gave me compliments. So I did a pretty good job at the age of 19. So go figure.
Nice.
Okay. OJ, that's a good. It's a good consolation prize.
Yeah,
and you brought up an interesting point about Mahomes being looked at, because we did see, some wide receiver shuffles happen during the offseason. And Aaron Rodgers is getting looked at because he doesn't have Devontae anymore. But the reason why they're looking at Mahomes more is because Rodgers won a Super Bowl years before Devontae got there. Mahomes won his Super Bowl with Hill. So
that's a good point.
More of the eyes are on Mahomes more so than Rodgers. Once again, Rodgers has proved his greatness. He's got 4 total MVPs. He just came off of his second straight, And Mahomes, well, he's got 1 MVP. He's got 1 Super Bowl. They got the same number of rings. You know what I mean? And 1 MVP versus 4. Rodgers, you talk about making everybody around you better, right? Now when Rodgers won his ring, he had Donald Driver, he had Aaron Jones, he had all of them. He's got a totally different cast from him right now. Mahomes, now he's got Juju. Juju's straight, but he doesn't stretch the field like Hill.
Juju's a straight number 2 when you've got an Antonio Brown. That's
exactly.
what Juju is.
Yeah, but the thing that you have to do that nowadays, the game is measured much differently, okay? I got a guy like Tyreek Hill who could also fall in your moron category, thinking that 2 is better than Mahomes. Go figure that one out. I'm not really sure.
I don't think he really said that.
Captain. But the point is you know what? Nowadays, I know you talk about this. Yards after the catch are important. You can take a 5 to 7 yard catch and turn it into 28, 38, 48-yard touchdown. And you know what? They're going to go in the books of 48-yard touchdown. The only time you'll see this on game film that was at
pretty
48.
well for Golden Tate.
Right, nobody's going to care
during the Stafford years.
Right, exactly. So the point is, but stats and box scores, being a newspaper guy for many, many years, okay, can look deceiving. I got a 58-yard touchdown long, but guess what? I had 50 yards after the catch, 5 to 7. And don't tell me Joe Montana didn't make a living off those short dink and dunks. He won a few Super Bowls too. So the point is every quarterback has a style. You have to have the horses around you. And I think that you make a valid point, though, Denzel. You really do. Mahomes needed Tyreek Hill. Rodgers didn't. And the best part about Rodgers' supporting cast is they knew how to do the Lambeau leap a whole lot better than the one now. They got to learn.
Yeah.
Watkins tried to do it. Better not do it, because that's like Gus Frerotte banging his head in the wall over at FedEx Stadium, whatever they're calling it these days. And I love Gus. He's been on my show before. But the whole idea is you got to have players around here that are able to do what they've got to do. They have to have good hands, right? You know what I mean? And they have the good feet, and they have the intelligence to do what they've got to do.
Yeah. I'm really glad you brought up the whole stats can be misleading style. I'm going to touch on this, and we got to go on to our next game. I'm really, really glad that you brought up, there's just some times, and I get it, you need stats to back up your argument, but there are just some times where you got to throw the stat book out the window. Right. You do, and you got to let it land in the parking lot. There are people out there, because of his accomplishments, that think that Joe Montana was more talented than Elway. No way. Elway had a better arm than Montana, but they'll look at Montana's Super Bowls as a compliment, and they're like, oh, well, he's the more talented quarterback. No. He's the more accomplished one. Elway was more talented. Just like Brady is the more.
He was also an absolute bum in the playoffs till he was like 35, and then it was Terrell Davis, and then some more Terrell Davis.
Well, what if I told you that John Elway and Brett Favre in my lifetime are my two favorite quarterbacks of all time, and my least favorite was Dan Marino, because in my opinion, I'll never forget the time I covered Super Bowl 33, and Dan Marino said something stupid like, the only way to get me out here to my event is by feeding you. I said, really? No kidding. I could have gone to all these stupid events that came to yours. But, you thought about me getting even with the guy when he got selected into the Hall of Fame. Boy, and amazing that you got selected in the Hall of Fame place that you played your last game. Jacksonville, by the way, beat them like 62 to like 7. So it's not like Dan needed me to remind them, but you know what? Don't piss us off. We're assholes. We're jerks. Okay, I don't know what to say. but the whole idea is I love Elway and I love Brett Favre because of his durability, and he played so many years. But Joe Montana is so smart that he went on to be a good businessman, not only in auto racing, for auto racing and winery, whatever he's doing, but you can't teach intelligence, man. You just can't do it. And that's what he did. He's a surgeon on the field, and that's why he did so well. Just like Larry Bird many years ago, who I had a chance to interview in Detroit, and I asked him after his media availability, Coach Bird, let me ask you a quick question, okay? What's that? I know you're probably running on time, but I'll make this one as quick as I can. What made you a lot better than everybody else, even though you weren't the best athlete on the planet? Oh, I thought 3 steps ahead of the other guy. Bingo, lesson for life, and that's what I tried to do.
He wanted it more.
Awesome. Yeah.
We need to get this guy in a room with Jacob Christner and then just leave for 4 hours and let him talk.
Me? Oh, don't worry. Jacob and I got a lot of stuff we're working.
Oh, yeah. That is coming up because Scott has joined the Pundits team. More on that during the closing. We're going to take a quick 30 seconds and hear from our sponsor, and then we'll be right back with the Gauntlet on a Saturday night. I'm running like my hands on fire. And I don't intend to stop even when my legs grow tired. And I got a message from Colorado straight from Texas. Captured most of me, just let me be. So I said earlier that we were sponsored by Yeti. Well, those were those guys and stuff. So shout out to Yeti and Fanatics for sponsoring us. We are back live on the Gauntlet. I'm here with Dom DeRubis and the Motor City Madmouth, Scott Morganroth. You can also check him out on the South Florida Tribune and on 2R because he owns it. He doesn't work for it. He owns it. Next up, we have what's probably the game of the day, and that is Bucs Cowboys. So as of late, Bucs are favored by 2 points. This is a rematch of the first game of the season last year that was in Tampa. This time they're in little old Jerry World. Let's see. We're the Cowboys are going to be without Michael Gallup, and also they're going to be without Amari Cooper. Shout out to Philly Jim. He full on believes that they lost their best route runner, and I agreed. But the number one now is CeeDee Lamb. You still have number 4 over there behind center. You have a much improved defense. But I'm going to have to roll with the GOAT on this one, because just when you think he's gotten too old, he only seemingly gets better. We're talking about a man who won the passing title last year at the age of 44. And also, I love his chances because he is a career 6-0 versus the Cowboys. He's a Cowboy killer just like Rodgers is. So on this one, I really like the chances of the Bucs. You know, you still got the same quarterback. You still got generally the same offense minus Antonio Brown. Fournette did sign back and everything, and also they've got a couple guys coming back on defense from injury. But I do expect a shootout because the Cowboys, you never know what team's going to show up sometimes. You know, sometimes they'll show up versus a contender, and then they'll lose to a team that they should have beat, you know. Like last year when Teddy Two Gloves and the Broncos demolished them in Arlington. But on this one, I am going to say Buccaneers 38, Cowboys 34. Don, what do you think?
I have the Bucs in a win, but barely. I don't think it'll be nearly as high scoring. Keep in mind that the Bucs minimally a Pro Bowl. I think he was an All-Pro guard. Ali Marpet, he retired. Their center is out for most of, if not the whole season. I think I don't care what anyone said, what he said, what hasn't been said. I think part of the reason that Brady left training camp for like a week and a half is because he saw his O-line was decimated, and he just didn't even want to think about it for that week or two. Like, I am old. I can't scramble anymore. They need to get this stuff figured out while I step away for a minute. Otherwise, it's going to be a long season. And I think they may be in for a long season. The Cowboys, like you said, and it just started to dawn on me literally in the last couple weeks. So I always kind of thought Amari Cooper was overrated. However, I think they're going to miss him more than I originally anticipated, because I'm not sold on CeeDee Lamb as a 1. CeeDee Lamb to me is kind of like Chris Godwin. He's getting the number 2 corner every single snap. Gallup's not playing. I like Michael Gallup a lot, but the dude can't seem to stay healthy. You know, Dak is Dak and usually shrinks in big moments. That's why I have the Bucs. Like, until Dak can flashy thing himself and forget who he's playing against and that he's in prime time against a heavy hitter. I mean, what's his record against winning teams? It's well below 500. What's his record in prime time, period? It's below 500. So I got Bucs 24, Cowboys 17.
Okay, touchdown game. What do you think, Scott? Who you
I
got?
don't know, man. I'm a senior citizen. I get AARP. I'm going the Bucs 29, Cowboys 14. Tom Brady's without. Yeah. You know, Tom Brady's without Giselle. That's not very nice. Okay, she's upset because she doesn't want him to turn into an individual who's going to end up having one too many hits. Doesn't want him to get hurt. I understand him wanting one more year, $25 million on the table with one more Super Bowl left. But here's my reason why I'm going 29-14. Number one, you got Julio Jones. They still have some adequate receivers over there, for certainly a lot better than the Cowboys. But where the Cowboys get into trouble is because of the penalties that they have. They did not solve that problem during the preseason. And Mike McCarthy's seat is hotter than the Arizona desert, let me tell you. And they're not looking to bring in. They're not going to bring in the offensive coordinator. I'm trying to remember who it is now.
Kellen Moore.
And Dan Quinn isn't going to be there. They're waiting for Sean Payton to take over the seat next year just to kind of revitalize. So that's what I think, okay? But my belief is the Cowboys will shoot themselves in the foot so badly with penalties, and Tom Brady will have enough targets to win 29-14. I believe in Tom Brady. I think he has another good year left. And if I were him, I'd go to the broadcasting booth then. After that, one more year, play it out one more, and give it one last shot. Maybe he'll hit another milestone along the way. That's what I think. So 29.
Write it down. 2023 Miami Dolphins starting quarterback Tom Brady.
Yeah, I was
Man,
waiting
there
for
you
you
go.
to that too. USF, I still have a little Tampa blood in me. I'm still going Bucks 29-14, and you never know. With Stephen Ross, anything can happen down here.
Awesome. And
They already
well,
got Coach tampering with him. Is that just a coincidence?
What?
No, these are the droids you're looking for. We're going to lose these couple draft picks and not really complain a whole lot because we know we're going to get Brady after Tua fails. Because he's Tua. Because he's left-handed Dak.
that's pretty. That can actually put the ball downfield. I mean, it's entirely possible that Tua can throw for 300 yards and Tyreek Hill runs for
74 on 74 completions.
Yeah.
But let's go ahead and have that dink and dunks, okay? 5 to 7 yards,
Yeah,
turn into
it
30, 40.
is.
I told you earlier. And I
It's gonna
guarantee
be
one
so
thing I'll leave you here
one-dimensional.
on this show. You'll be singing my Saturday night thing from now until the end of time because you remember the Bay City Roller Saturday
Yep.
night. And if you want me to go ahead and tune over, you're going to turn into a ringtone or an alarm. We can work out a trade fee. No problem.
Man, do people still get paid for ringtones? Let's jump on
I don't
that.
even know. I have no idea. I'm just too old to figure that stuff out. I'm trying to work on technology, let alone ringtones. I don't use them. My phone's always on silent. And I have
Same.
sleep apnea anyway, so I don't have an alarm. It's inside of me.
Yeah. We are in the last 4 to 5 minutes of the show. So on to our non-sports topic. This is where we, kind of show our human side and step outside of the sports box for just a little bit. So here's what I thought of. I don't know if it's going to take some thinking or anything like that. And I'm actually curious to hear Scott's take on this one because you have, vast experience. And that is, who is the greatest speaker, past or present, you have ever heard? We'll start with you, Scott.
Oh, I love Ronald Reagan. Love Ronald Reagan. Favorite president of all time. Anybody that could go out there and take office, okay, over Jimmy Carter, and they think that this guy here, to me, is going to call him a warmonger, get rid of 52 people because this cowboy is going to run him out of there and fall asleep during the Canadian parliamentary procedure. To me, Ronald Reagan's always been known for being a great public speaker. So I'll put Ronald Reagan in there. I think he's just great. I have his books, been in his library, and I've listened to his speech. He's one of the most eloquent people I've ever seen. I don't think you saw that one coming, did you?
I would expect a former president because, let's face it, that's kind of a trait that you need to have in order to be president, right?
True.
So a former president, it's not a bad pick at all. Most would say
Ronald Reagan's a great pick.
Most would say a president would be a pretty solid pick, because you got professors, you have like civil rights leaders, you have senators and whatnot. But yeah, president, it's a pretty solid pick. Dom, what do you think, man?
My professors didn't like me, but don't worry about
it. Go ahead, Dom.
I'm sitting here drawing half of a blank. Are we talking about someone we actually saw speak live or just whoever you saw give the greatest speech?
It could be live. You could have YouTubed it. You could have watched it on television. Just the greatest speech. Yeah.
Maybe not greatest, but the most entertaining speech I've ever seen. Clearly it was more of a post-game rant. I'm going Mike Gundy because that man is still a national treasure to this day. He just cut his teeth with I'm a man. I'm 40. And then 10 years later, he grew a mullet. And I think that dude is a very underrated and Is he still coaching?
Yeah.
Where'd he go after Oklahoma State?
Oklahoma State.
He's still there.
He's doing well there.
Oh, he's still. Why did I think he left?
Okay, State's not going to get rid of that man.
No way.
They ain't going to get rid of him.
His legend grows bigger once Oklahoma is out the door and in the SEC and they get skunked there.
Yeah.
I think Oklahoma State could really make some hay in a few years if they don't get invited to the non-NCAA college football league that's going to start. Just call it the NIL 28, probably 28, 32, however many teams they pick. They don't need the NCAA anymore. They have NIL. What do they need the NCAA for? You don't think they can negotiate their own TV contracts? They can. Yeah, I'm going Mike Gundy because that's one of the greatest post-game speeches I've ever seen. Honorable mention, Dennis Green.
Oh, okay. Nice, not bad at all. I would say the greatest speaker that I have seen, of course, YouTube and speeches and everything, was Malcolm X. A lot of the things that he spoke of are still issues today in society. And also the thing that stood out the most, whether you agree with his viewpoints or not, is his intelligence. And it was mentioned in tonight's telecast, you can't teach intelligence. The way that he put his words together, and he's along the lines of the MLKs of this world and everything like that. Like, you feel like you learn from him, and I feel like whenever the mark of a great speaker is you have to feel like you learn from the person. We all have come across somebody like that, whether they were a professor or a relative, anything like that. I feel like every time they speak, I feel like I learn from them. Like, Scott, did you feel like whenever you listen to Ronald Reagan, you learned from him?
No question about it. If I had an honorable mention, I put Dr. Martin Luther King in my group.
Yeah, you've heard him speak, and it's like, wow, like this
Great.
dude is getting something.
I visited his thing over in Atlanta many years ago. I think they moved it, but but Ronald Reagan's first with Dr. Martin Luther King would be an easy number 2 for me, and I wouldn't think twice about it. I think he's great.
Yeah,
I always learned from public
The
speakers.
only reason I didn't pick the King is because I thought you were gonna, Jay. And I didn't want to steal your
in
thunder.
public speaking and communication, so I appreciate a public speaker because I love doing it myself.
Yeah. And the thing about public speaking is because whenever someone talks, you don't want to hear like, oh man, like, he's just rambling, he's not even doing anything, but it's like, no, it's an art, it's a little art, like the way that they frame it, the way that they piece things together, the way that they bridge. They might fly a little bit off topic, but it relates to this topic, kind of like what you did earlier, Scott. It's like, well, I'm bridging it back to this point because it's relevant to the conversation. They use examples, like everything up here, or whether it's written down. Like, the mark of a great speaker, you feel like, man, like, I can never get tired of listening to him. So
listen, I could take something like this on an index card, put my entire speech on there, highlight a few points. I guarantee it'll never come out the same. Something this side on an index card, and it will never come out the same way. And that's how I've always done it. Don't care, because you know what? You don't want to sound like a robot. It's
worked for how many odd years, right? It works for you, right?
Over 4 decades. That's good enough. Is that enough?
There you go.
20 or 30. I mean, I've been graduated from college since 1986, so I guess it's been a while. And I've been in the media since 79. So, yeah, it's worked out well. All you need is just an extemporaneous speech with an index card, highlighter, little pen. Even though I can't read my writing, at least I can read enough to go ahead and talk about it. Boom. There you go.
Yeah. Well, we are 2 minutes over time. So, hey, I would like to thank everybody for tuning in to Gauntlet. Like I said, find us on YouTube, on Twitter or Facebook. Leave that like. Also, we're at Gauntlet Sports Media on Cash App if you'd like to leave a donation. Special thanks to our special guest tonight, Scott Morganroth, the Motor City Madmouth. It's been awesome. It's been a pleasure having you with us, and I look forward to definitely more shows of having you on. And Dom, let everybody know where we can find you.
Well, tomorrow night and every Sunday at 8, you can see myself and Mr. Snipes and Mr. Will Vogel and Mr. Jacob Christner talking all things old school hoops on Basket Bros. That's, as I said, 8 p.m. YouTube, Facebook Live. Monday, you can see me on Scott's show, Fire Up Michigan. 8 p.m. we said?
Right around there, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
In the 8 p.m. hour, I'm sitting here going through my brain day by day. Tuesdays, I think I give myself a day off. Wednesdays, 8 o'clock. Kneecap Biters with Smoke and Jeremy B. We do an NFL roundtable. I'd like to get you on sometime, Jake. I don't think we've ever had a Texans representative. Depends on what you got going on. We'll see if we can fit you in. Or if you can fit us in, really. Because I know you're a busy man.
So
like many of us.
Can I get one thing in there? I just want everybody to please subscribe to the South Florida Tribune YouTube channel. That's it. South Florida Tribune YouTube channel. Just subscribe to that. It's good enough for me tonight.
Okay. Yeah. It's on you. Anywhere where they can find you, Scott. Go ahead and let them know.
Well, then I'll try to talk a little slower than IndyCars, okay? YouTube.com, South Florida Tribune. Hit the subscribe button. You get more of my whatever you want to call it. And, of course, on Twitter at Tribune South. And go to our website, www.southfloridatribune.com. You're right. I'll be on the pundit show. And guess what? I'm going on the Basket Bros show tomorrow. I was invited to come on there tomorrow night. And I hear they want me to come back more often. I think Jennifer's trying to get me to come on there permanently. So, what the heck? If she wants me on there, why not?
We love to talk old school hoops.
Great. We love to talk old school hoops from 2000 and on back. I think you're really going to like it. We're looking forward to having you on, sir. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to The Gauntlet. Enjoy your Saturday night. Be safe. There's college football on. I know I've got it on TV. UFC is about to come on. Shout out Tyler Ingram. Shout out to JB Ellis, Eric Wilson, Jake Malik, John Shear, Ray J. Lynn, everybody else out there. For
Megan Price, the Queen of Hoops.
Megan Price, the Queen of Hoops. AB, we see you. So for Don DeRubis and the Motor City Madmouth, I am Denzel Snipes. We will see you in 7 days. Peace!